Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I have a real important video for you. I usually talk about catching fish, but today I'm going to be talking about releasing fish. I'll give you the best practices when it comes to catch and release fishing. We'll go over those. And I also have a net review. I bought a landing net a couple months ago now that I've been using, and I am extremely happy with this net, and I want to pass on this information. It's one of the best nets I've ever had. I am not being sponsored by these guys. It is just a tool that I've been using for the last couple months, and I really like it. And I think for you guys that may be thinking about changing out your net, this is a net that you want to take a look at. So what we'll do today is I'll start off with best practices when you're releasing a fish. And the reason I'm doing this is because I've caught a couple of fish this summer that have had a viral infection. Some people call it ick. It's just a nasty stuff. When you pull the fish out, you can tell it's just not in good shape. I'll show you a picture of a fish that came in a recent tournament, and you can see what I'm talking about. Just this nasty stuff, and like I said, it is a viral infection. Now, these fish are susceptible to these infections and other problems that they have when the water temperatures get above 80 degrees, maybe low water quality, or maybe they have been caught and they've been thrown on the deck of the boat and they've been allowed to flop around, and the protective slime that's on them, that's the skin for a fish, that's what protects them from these viruses and things, it gets compromised, and then they are susceptible to having all of these diseases and problems. So let's start off by going over catching and releasing your fish. Then we'll talk about the net that I want you guys to know about. I got to get better at releasing fish. I got to treat them better, and you can call me on that. I'm trying my best, and I know we can't do this every single time on every single fish, but if I can just get through to a couple of you guys on thinking more about when you're releasing them, how to release them gently so that they live to fight another day. Number one, fight your fish quickly as possible to maximize the fish from stressing. So don't let that fish just wear itself out. Get them to the boat, land them in a net, release it quickly. Don't overfight your fish. You should hold the fish out of the water no longer than you could hold your breath underwater. So when you're taking a picture or something, you pull that fish out, 30 seconds, 40 seconds max, you want that fish back in the water. Use a net to land the fish, especially a larger fish. If you plan on taking pictures of your fish, make sure to have the camera ready. Also, if you have a live well on your boat, have a live well so you can put the fish in the live well and keep that fish underwater and breathing fine and not so much stressed out. So you just pull it out and you take a picture. Now for you guys in kayaks, and if you don't have a live well, I've got a little device here that I used to use. It's just a little tether, and you can see what I have here. It's just a rope with a clip on it and something you can put on the cleat of your boat. So if you catch one of those big fish you want a picture, you're just going to tether them up to the boat. I generally would tether my fish on the side of the boat that has the shade. And if you have something like this, make sure you're not putting it in the gills of the fish. You go right under the chin here, between the chin and the first gill. That way it's not going to foul up its gills. If you do that properly and you set them gently on the side of the boat, it'll just sit there and wait for you to grab it and take a picture. So a little tip for you kayak guys or somebody that doesn't have live wells. Okay, what's that? Okay, keep in mind, bigger fish need more care in the release process, especially the big females. Middle of summer, they've just had gone through spawn. They are highly likely to for stress and infections and things of that nature. So with that, I got a couple of fish in here. I'm going to grab one and I'm going to show you how to handle these fish, how to take some pictures. We'll get the fish out right now. We'll do that. All right. Whew, that was tough. This is a little volunteer that I had. It's about a pound and a quarter. And the first thing I want to say is when you hold these fish, on these smaller fish, you can get away with a lot more than you do on a bigger fish. I can hyperextend this jaw and hold it like this. It's not going to hurt the fish. There's not enough weight on the fish. You don't want to do this to fish that are 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds. You want to hold them like this so that this jaw is in line and they're just straight up and down. You don't want to do this. this is the proper way to hold a bigger fish. Now, if you're going to take this pose, you want to have a hand underneath supporting the weight of a bigger fish or even a smaller fish. You want to have that weight distributed across the fish so that you can take the fish and get your picture with them. Once you've taken the picture, especially a bigger fish, a smaller fish this size, I can take it and just drop it over the side of the boat. Anything above 3 pounds, what I like to do is grab it, hold it in here, drop it in the water, let the fish sit here for a minute to acclimate to the water. It'll tell you when it's ready to go, and it'll push off. Let's take a look at this one. We'll see if I've done a good job here with my landing and everything else. We'll put this out here. Let's see if he swims off. We gently put him in. There it goes. They'll tell you when they're ready. They'll kick off and they'll go out there. Okay, let's get back in front of the camera. I've got a feeling my GoPro's going to overheat, so I'm going to go over this net business really quick. The net I want to tell you about is this guy right here. This is the packaging that it comes in. It's called the Eco S2 Slider. That's the packaging. Let me give you some details. Oops, got another fish in there that wants to get out. I'll get that in a minute. I like the size of this net. I like the feel of it. The handle's great. It just feels like a well-built quality net. It's not a cheap net. I forget what I paid for it. I can put some information up on that a little later. And I did buy this with my own money. Hoop size is 19 by 21. The bag depth is 24 inches deep, and that is really important. And the mesh is important. It's a plastic mesh, and it's a big wide mesh. We'll go over that in just a minute. The handle extends from 29 to 60 inches. It's got a 2-year warranty. I think it's a very well built net. Let's go over why I like this net. Number one, it's the right size. It's got a very comfortable, a big handle, and it's got a eco-friendly extension. I'll call it knob. It's this thing right here. We'll go into that in just a little bit. But I really like how wide the mesh is on this net, and it's all rubber, so it's nice and soft for the fish. And we're going to go over exactly why I like that. A big, deep bag. One thing that I would highly recommend you guys do not buy are these older nets that have this green stuff is some kind of a nylon, and it is like a scouring pad. So you put a fish in here, all the slime is getting scoured off of it. Throw these away, get yourself a new net if you've got one of these old ones. They're killing a lot of fish out here. My old net that I had has a kind of a rubberized coating over something. It's a little softer, but it's definitely not like this guy here. And the other thing that I had problems with is the size of this mesh net. If you get a treble hook in there or a hook at all, it tends to go in and lodge in there. It's very difficult to get out. The other thing that I don't like is this little guy here. This is the old knob in order to extend the handle and stuff. That is a booger to get if you don't have your net ready, and you have to do it on the fly when you're catching a fish. Like I said, this guy here has this, and you just kind of expand it out. The net expands both ways, so when you do this, and you can actually do it with one hand. If you have the net here, you've got a rod here, and you're fighting the fish, you can keep the rod in this hand and just do this to extend the net. So it can be one-handed operation. The other thing that I want to try to start you guys doing is landing every fish with a net. When you put the net in the water and you land the fish, obviously the net gets wet, and in a deep bag like this, as you put that fish on the boat, I've got a copy of a fish here, it's going to sit right on that bag. The bag's wet, it's cool, and it's not bouncing around on a hot deck that has carpet on it that's going to remove all of its slime. So you can take this fish and basically remove the hook from it, handle it gently, take your picture, put it back in the water. So everything about this net I love. It's again the Eco S2 Slider. I'll put the information up in the remarks if you guys want to look at these online or something. And I really like it. I like this handle where it's where you can take this and just kind of slip it out either way that you want to do it. it's a great net. So with that, like I said, if I've just gotten through to a couple of you guys and you're going to think a little bit more about releasing the fish and how careful you are, this is a successful video for me. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend to watch this, because your friends that are releasing fish are probably worse than you and I. So they need to get a reminder here also. All right, with that, go out there, catch some fish, catch and release them properly. Until then, good luck, and we'll see you guys on the river.